Week 17 performance of the week. I'm going to just take the low-hanging fruit and go with the Ravens. That was a demolition of the Dolphins. Lamar, unbelievable. Like he's been very good throughout the season. A little bit inconsistent in the first half of the year. But certainly when December has come, he has gone from strength to strength. I love Lamar, so when I say this, I don't want to be viewed as a hater because I'm one of Lamar's biggest fans, but I personally don't view him as the MVP. I just think that Christian McCaffrey has been consistently great all season long, 2,000 yards. Not going to make this about him, but just wanted to say that Lamar certainly will be first team all-pro quarterback, I would assume, because it has been a bit of a down year at quarterback. He's finished extremely strong. You look at the weapons around him as well. They've just suddenly clicked in this offense, this Todd Monken offense that throughout the year has been finding itself, and they've really peaked at the right time. Odell Beckham Jr., Rashad Bateman, the rookie sensation, Zay Flowers. I love this guy. Before the draft, I said this could be like a mini Debo. Yeah, he's not built like Debo, but yards after catch, he's just, you get the ball in his hands, he'll do the rest. As I said, Isaiah Likely, you want to talk about next man up. Mark Andrews, who's one of the best tight ends in the league, goes down. In steps Isaiah Likely, offering, in my view, a different threat because he's got speed. He's got hands. I don't want to say that he is better than Mark Andrews, but man, what a threat this could be next year if you've got them both on the field. Like, these are two, brilliant tight ends, mismatched tight ends. He's done a great job since he's come in. I mean, the scoreline says it all. It was just domination. Yes, the Dolphins started well, but the game got out of hand quickly. Defensively, the Ravens, Christmas night, I found out the hard way watching my 49ers go against this group. They're just special. Yep. Brilliant schemed, brilliant talent. We look at this defensive line. My man, Justin Madubuike, getting national recognition now. I could see him. I think he's made the Pro Bowl. Does he maybe get All-Pro, like a second team All-Pro mention? Maybe a first team? Who knows? I think he's now reached sort of 12, 13 sacks on the year. It's not all about sacks because earlier in the year, those sacks weren't showing up on the stat sheet. But when I was watching film, man, this guy flashed like he is a beast. Like, big guy, lots of speed, pressures the quarterback. Raven, he just screams, I'm a Raven, everything that he can do. Clowney does his part. You've got the two middle linebackers, Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith. That is a sensational duo to have at linebacker. Marlon Humphrey, he's a lockdown corner, really. I'm not going to say he's a shutdown because shutdown in this era is very difficult to do, but he's one of the top corners still. Carl Hamilton, can't speak highly enough of this safety. He is unbelievable as a group, special. This could be the year for the Ravens. It's the team I fear most as a 49ers fan. Performance of the week definitely goes to them.
From NFL Week 17, I've come up with performance of the week being I know it'd be easy to go with Baltimore, but we expect a lot from Baltimore. They certainly delivered, absolutely smacked the shit out of the Dolphins, but they are the cream of the NFL at the moment. So I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals going into Philadelphia. I know Philadelphia are going through a tricky spell, but the lack of talent, at least name-wise, on the Cardinals, And just the way that they went in there, down 21-6, ran the football, imposed their will on the Philadelphia Eagles, who could not stop the run. My old friend James Conner, how physical a running back this guy is. 6 yards a play from the Cardinals, down 21-6 on the road to an NFC supposed powerhouse. Massively impressed with the Cardinals. We spoke last week about the lack of talent that they have, at least name brand wise, in terms of just pure names. But you cannot coach effort, and the running game, a lot of it is organization, scheme and effort. They had it, the Eagles didn't. Massively impressed with the Cardinals. What a performance. They are my performance of the week from NFL Week 17. Step it up from the same game, no surprise, Philadelphia. Like I said with the Cardinals, a lot of the running game is organisation and effort. And the Eagles, they got ran all over. They got absolutely dominated up front. They've got a pass rush with the guys on the D-line, but they don't seem to be particularly good at stopping the run. And the back seven that they have, the linebackers and the secondary, are pretty below average all around in stopping the pass, and definitely, as they showed this week, from stopping the run. Very concerning signs from the Eagles. Why are you going to make that move in season to go from somebody who you thought wasn't getting the job done at the level that you wanted to Matt Patricia just because he was in the building? Doesn't look like that's paying off. I'm concerned that the Eagles don't even get out the first round of the playoffs. They're going to have to go on the road to either the Bucks or the Saints. That's not a gimme. Very, very disappointed with the Philadelphia Eagles. Has Jalen Hurts, under the radar, has he had a very disappointing season and we've glossed over it because they were 10-1 at one point? Jalen Hurts, they're on the hook for that contract. I'd be worried if I'm Philadelphia. And they seem to be getting left behind by the Lions, the Cowboys, the 49ers, and even the Rams now in the NFC. They're my step it up from NFL Week 17.
Step it up for Week 17. I don't want to poke the bear, but what has happened to the Eagles, losing to the Cardinals? Thank you very much, Arizona. We appreciate your neighbourly love for the 49ers, who secured the number 1 seed with that loss. Thank you very much. Don't know what to say about the Eagles, really. They've lost their way a bit. 1-4 in the last 5 games. Did not see this one coming, though. They were up, I think, pretty big in this game. And then Kyler Murray, James Conner, all credit to the Cardinals. I don't want to make it sound like, the Eagles just lost to garbage team. Jonathan Gannon, as a side note, certainly deserves more time with the Cardinals. He was dealt a very short hand this year. With Kyler Murray, I think that this is something to build on. They've got the quarterback, they've got the head coach, in my opinion. Now it's just a case of rebuilding what they tore down. But that's a side note. Eagles, pass defense is a problem. Run defense isn't as stout as it used to be. The only thing I would say is when you go into the playoffs, you can reset, and do not write this team off for 1 second. If they reset and go back to their bread and butter, what they've been successful with, this team can go all the way. But they've got a lot of work to do. Just disjointed. So I don't want to poke the bear, but I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. Step it up does go to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Power 5 NFL at the moment, heading into the final week of the regular season. I have Cleveland at number 5. Defense, passing game, they can run the ball. Defense is kind of scary. Joe Flacco, we know playoff Joe. He turns up in the playoffs. They're going to have a nice game on the road as the highest wild card in the AFC playoffs. They should get out of that. And then, you know, your Ravens and your Bills or your Dolphins or the Chiefs don't want to see Cleveland come to town in the second round of the playoffs. They really, really don't with that defense. Yeah, they're my number 5. Number 4, I'm going with Dallas. Was concerning with how they should have, if it were not for the refs, lost that game to the Lions. At the end of the game, what is Mike McCarthy doing throwing the ball? Like, giving the Lions a chance to come back, which they did, and then should have won the game. I mean, you've got to just run the damn ball on that down late in the game. Their running game is a concern. It showed this past week. Gibbs and Montgomery, very good running backs. Tony Pollard is a backup running back. I don't think that's unfair of me to say. Lots of talent on Dallas, but I don't trust them heading into the playoffs. Maybe that's past history, but until I see it in the playoffs, I don't trust them. They're my number 4. Number 3, Buffalo. Might be high for the Bills, but I think if they get their act together, then they're a real problem in the AFC playoffs. They can now run the ball. They need to keep going with that, running the ball. The defense is kind of stepping it up now. I fancy them to go into Miami and win that this upcoming week with the injury problems the Dolphins are having. And it's, you know how they say it's like easier to climb the mountain than to stay on top of the mountain, and they're climbing the mountain, the Bills, rather than the Dolphins, who are looking over their shoulder. Yeah, it should have been done and dusted. It's not. The Bills shouldn't have a chance to win the division. They do, and if they do win the division, then yeah, they're going to be a problem in the AFC playoffs. They're my number 3. Number 2, Baltimore. I know they beat the crap out of the Dolphins, and I know they beat the 49ers, but Brock Purdy is not going to throw 4 interceptions in a potential rematch. The 49ers are not going to have Brock Purdy throw the ball the number of times that he did in that first game. You just can't, and you've seen the tape now of what happens. You run the ball on the Ravens. You've got an elite running game in San Francisco and a very good run blocking O-line. And yeah, they want that game back hopefully for them, that will be the Super Bowl. Ravens, yeah, like they're very impressive. Lamar Jackson is just an elite quarterback. MVP's done and dusted. It's his. Defense extremely well coached. 2 middle linebackers that they have, Queen and Roquan Smith. What athletes they are. Space eaters they are. They can stay with receivers and running backs out the backfield, and Roquan Smith, 150 tackles. Patrick Queen, I don't even know how many interceptions he's had, but it seems like he's had a ton. Yeah, they're a very, very, very well coached team, the Ravens, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs. Yeah, they're my number 2, and San Francisco number 1. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think that they'll have the same game plan if they do meet the Ravens again. And if they get it together, as they showed, as I believe they showed in that stretch where they went on a tear, if they get it together, they are the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. Just the talent, the scheme, the personnel that they have. Yes, I'm going to stick with San Francisco as my number one team in the NFL.
So probably the last Power 5 standings of the season as we approach the playoffs. At number 5, At number 5, it's difficult. It is difficult. I'm still going to say the Eagles. I think they can be dangerous. Is it the Eagles? I think I'm going to have to drop them out. I think I'm going to have to drop the Eagles out of the top 5. And I'm just thinking of potential-wise. No, you know what? I'm going to stick with the Eagles because I feel that they can go further in a weaker conference than the team that is going to unfortunately miss out, which is the Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to drop out of my top 5. At number 4, it's going to be the Cowboys. It's going to be the Cowboys, I'd say. They're such a difficult team because if they were to go through the playoffs at home, they'd have a very strong chance given that they've won, 15 in a row at home. At the same time, their defense hasn't been as good as it was earlier in the season. The Lions were able to move the ball. They got some turnovers, so it's definitely an opportunistic defense, but they're not stopping teams the way they were stopping them earlier in the season, and that will be a problem when you come up against the elite offenses that they're probably going to come up against. I mean, the Lions, very good offense. There's better offenses out there though. So if they couldn't stop them, they're going to have trouble with those other ones too. At number 3, somehow, some way, I am sticking with the Buffalo Bills. They have started in the last 2 weeks. They've won the games, but not very impressively. When we come to the game picks, this week at the Dolphins, lots on the line. Potentially, they either win and get the number 2 seed or lose and actually don't make the playoffs. That would be an insane situation. They'll know pre-game if that is the case because the other teams, the other variables involved will have played. So we'll see. But if they get in the playoffs, they are a dangerous team. If they get the number 2 seed, that means they get 2 home games. Presuming they win the wild card game, they will then host the divisional game. So I think that they are a dangerous team. Defensively, they've been very good. Josh Allen, I think he's the only quarterback that has over 40 touchdowns this year. Yes, we want to talk about the turnovers. I think Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, some others are now in that same spectrum as Josh Allen in terms of the turnovers, maybe more. But they don't have 40 plus touchdowns to go with it. So I just want to throw that narrative out there. Josh Allen, 40 plus touchdowns. We're not going to just talk about the turnovers because it suits America's narrative. He is an elite quarterback. In my view, it's him and Mahomes. I would take them over anyone. So Bills at 3. At number 2, San Francisco 49ers. Not much to say, really. Got the job done last week. Wasn't the greatest performance, but still won by 3 scores. The key now is to get everyone healthy. It is difficult because you almost don't want to rest everyone for week 18 because then it's 3 weeks until the divisional game when you'll be playing a team that's basically been playing a playoff game every week from week 18. So difficult tightrope to walk. If you rest them, can you keep them sharp, keep them on their edge? If you play them, can you avoid injury? Purdy's not going to play. I think that's smart. Christian McCaffrey's not going to play, given his mild calf strain. That's also smart. I have no doubts that McCaffrey will be rolling when we get to the divisional round. Just please stay healthy in this game. against the Rams. The Rams also look like they're going to be benching players. So hopefully we get to sort of the third quarter, maybe the end of the third quarter, and we start just peeling off those starters, keeping them fresh, giving them a bit of game time because they're going to get 2 weeks off anyway. They stay at 2 for obvious reasons because number 1, Baltimore Ravens, spoke already, glowingly about them in the performance of the week. Haven't got much to add. They are the best team in the NFL right now. They demolished the Dolphins. They demolished the 49ers. I don't know what the stat is, but they've won something like 7 or 8 games by 14 points or more against teams over 500. That just speaks to how great this team is. I don't necessarily feel like I think the last 2 weeks they have definitely shown like their peak. But before that, it was always kind of like they've been the better team in every game they've played in, but they just had some wobbly moments. Like you look at their 3 losses, the Colts, they were winning with 2 minutes to go. Should have won that game. The Steelers in Pittsburgh, classic Steelers. They were up, I think, by 7 or 10 in the fourth quarter. And classic Pittsburgh air, something happens. The mystique of Pittsburgh. They got the job done. Should have won that game. And then the final loss against the Browns, they were up 14. Quite an unfortunate, bounce of the ball, I guess, led to a pick 6, and then they kind of collapsed in that one. But they've been the best team in all 16 games they've played. They're 13-3. They should be 16-0 in all honesty. They probably will lose this week though, because again, I can't imagine they will go full out for the whole game against the Steelers, who are desperate, who need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Would you want to throw Lamar out there against the Steelers, who are a physical bunch? That pass rush is devastating with TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward. Ooh, I wouldn't do it. But yeah, best team in the league. Right now it's not close, unfortunately, for 49ers fans like myself. Maybe we'll see. Maybe there'll be a revenge game in the Super Bowl. Who knows? But yeah, top 5 teams going into the final week. Week 18 game picks. This is difficult because a number of teams have nothing to play for. Some teams have already secured their spot in the playoffs, so they're going to be resting players. So the mentalities at this stage of the week, very difficult to gauge. But anyway, we'll give it our best shot. We've done pretty well this year. Still leading pretty much all the networks in America with our picks, so stick with us. Okay, Saturday night, first game of the week, Steelers at Ravens. I think the Ravens won't be all in on this game. They may start their starters, but I would imagine when we get to third, fourth quarter, they'll start dropping off. So Steelers win that one. The big one Saturday night, Texans at Colts. Wow, winner gets into the playoffs basically. If it's a tie, then they're both eliminated. But barring a freak result like that, I'm rolling with CJ Stroud. And this Texans defense, they've had their bad moments. They've been very good in the second half of the season. The Colts with Minshew have been competitive but inconsistent. I trust the Texans more. And I'd love to see CJ Stroud get that first playoff experience. It's unlikely the Texans can really make much noise in the playoffs. But who knows? This AFC is wide open. But in any case, young quarterback in his first year, it would be great for him to get a taste of playoff football under his belt. It will only help him moving forward. On to Sunday, This is one of those meaningless games. It's Jets at Patriots. Is this Bill Belichick's final game as the coach of the Patriots? Personally, I don't think it should be. Look at the defense. He's still a top tier defensive mind. As I've said throughout the whole season, though, there needs to be a change at GM. Bill Belichick, the head coach, call Robert Kraft and say we need to remove Bill Belichick, the GM. New vision needed. And that's okay. If Bill Belichick is willing to do that, he can still be a Super Bowl winning coach, but he clearly cannot assemble a Super Bowl winning roster anymore. So, new GM. Given that it could be his final game, though, I would think that he'll be very motivated to win this game. I think the players and the coaches around him will also be very motivated just in case. So, Patriots win that one. Falcons at Saints. Both teams are alive. I think the Falcons have got quite a long list of things that need to happen for them to make the playoffs. This is in the Superdome. The Saints, I believe, need to win and either the Buccaneers or the Packers to lose to get in. Either way, not a team going anywhere this year. Both have been very inconsistent. The Falcons have given the Saints problems. This is a good matchup for the Falcons, but I will roll with the Saints, I think. Vikings at Lions. The Lions, don't know what to say about the end of that game against the Cowboys. Going for two, trying to confuse the referees, the Cowboys with who's reporting by sending multiple offensive linemen to the referee. It feels a bit desperate, to be honest. I don't know why you had to go for two. And even when it didn't kind of work, well, it worked, the play worked, but they said you didn't report. You got the penalty and you went for it again anyway. And then the Cowboys had an offside, so then you got to do it again. And then you went for it again. Just go to overtime. It tells me that they are worried about their weaknesses, and their weakness is their defense. I don't see the sense in going for two. You've played, 2-3 hour game of football, and you're going to put it all in the hands of this all or nothing mentality of theirs to win or lose the game. They're not confident in their team. But they're playing the Vikings this week, who have a messy quarterback situation. Their defense really got taught a lesson by Jordan Love. Lions win. Okay. Jaguars at Titans. It is simple for the Jaguars. Win and you win the AFC South, but you face a team in the Titans who would love to play spoiler. Jaguars get Trevor Lawrence back. Jaguars may even get Christian Kirk back. And ever since Christian Kirk got injured in that Monday Night Football game against the Bengals, their season has just tumbled, really. He's a big part, I guess. Or at least, when they have all of their weapons together, they are a different team to perhaps when they're sort of suffering with injuries. And they have been suffering with injuries. I say Jaguars win whether Kirk plays or not, but it would be great for him to make it because with Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Engram, Travis Etienne, and of course a healthier Trevor Lawrence, that offense can be special. Buccaneers at Panthers. David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, threw a drink on a Jaguars fan. Horrible look. Got a slap on the wrist with a $300,000 fine. His apology wasn't an apology. I can't root for the Panthers as an organisation while he's in charge, sadly. Sorry to the players, nothing against them. But dislike this owner 100%. Do not want to see any success for him. The Buccaneers, simple again. If they win the NFC South. They they kind of blew it last week against the Saints. They got taught a lesson a bit. I think they beat the Panthers. The Panthers suck. Nothing more to add there. Browns at Bengals. I think the Browns will... I think they've basically secured the number 5 seed. So win or lose doesn't matter this week. I feel like they will treat this as a bye week. The Bengals eliminated at home will want to go out strong. So I say Bengals win that one. Bears at Packers. Two informed teams, two very strong finishes in a way. They've been two of the better teams in the league, I think, somehow, some way. Maybe, if they played against the NFL's elite, i.e. the 49ers or the Ravens, I'm sure they would get their asses handed to them. But they have been pretty good over the last few weeks. And Jordan Love, in particular, his touchdown to interception ratio now stands at 34 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. That's 30 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. But if we look, at the season, it's been a tale of two halves. First 8 games, he was 14-8 in a touchdown to interception ratio. The last 8 games, 20 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. And my goodness, some of the throws that he made against a very good Vikings defense, he torched them. The run game was going, but he was going as well. So, complete annihilation. Yes, they had it really automatically because of the Vikings quarterback situation, but he still had to beat the defense, and he did more than that. Okay, moving on. We've got... Have I covered all of the 6 o'clock games? I have actually missed out one very important note I want to make. Just going back to the Vikings and the Lions. Before this year, there'd been 3 rookies with over 80 receptions, over 800 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns. I believe it was 2014 with Odell Beckham Jr. I'm not sure about the year on this one, but the second one is Michael Thomas. And the third is another favourite of mine, Jamar Chase. Well, that club has a new member, and his name is Samuel Joseph Laporta, tight end of the Detroit Lions. That is quite a special season for a very understated rookie, not one that makes a big deal, just gets on with his job. So shout out to Sam Laporta. I've been a big fan of him from very early in the season. I love seeing a rookie break out. He's certainly done that. So, all credit to him. Back to the picks. We've got Broncos at Raiders. Broncos unimpressive against the Chargers. They've benched Russell Wilson. They went with Jarrett Stidham. It was all right, I guess. Raiders. It's the last audition for Antonio Pierce. And again, I've said it in the last few weeks. I think he's done enough to earn the head coaching job for at least 2024. The players are playing for him. They've been in this position before a few years ago, and they opted to go with someone else. I feel like they may be luring to people like Jim Harbaugh. Very hard to turn down Jim Harbaugh if he's willing to join you. But Antonio Pierce, great job. Great recovery. Yes, they're not going to the playoffs, but I think he deserves a chance to go next year. Raiders win this one. Sean Payton gone down in my estimations. shouting at Russell Wilson. Didn't like that. I imagine he's doing other annoying things that aren't going to sort of get the best out of your players. This isn't 1990 anymore. It's 2024. Get with the times. You don't have to be a dickhead to get the best out of your players. Chiefs at Chargers. Mahomes is going to be rested. Blaine Gabbert is going to start. Difficult one again. I don't know who else is going to start. But it is the Chargers. Will the Chargers go out on a high? I say no. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, I think. I don't think you can rest too many players. And Blaine Gabbert, while it's quite a big downgrade on Mahomes, Chargers won't offer much either. So, defensive game. Chiefs win. Eagles at Giants. So, the Eagles, in their last 5 games, are 1-4. Unbelievable. The first of those 5 games was the home game to the 49ers. It feels like they haven't quite been the same since that game. That was quite a devastating beating at home. They have to win this one, and they have to hope the Cowboys fumble the bag against the Commanders. It's the only way they can win the NFC East and get either the number 2 or the number 3 seed. If that doesn't happen, they're looking at the number 5 seed. I say they win this game. Could be Saquon Barkley's last game for the Giants, sadly. Sadly, I say sadly, but if he moves on, I would love to see him in a more elite team. I mean, look at Christian McCaffrey with the 49ers. Saquon Barkley can do that in a team like that. I mean, you put Saquon Barkley on the Eagles and you're going to have an explosion of offense from him. Rams, so Eagles win that one. Rams at 49ers. Matt Stafford not playing. Brock Purdy not playing. So we get Carson Wentz and Sam Darnold. However, the 49ers, it sounds like they're going to go with their starters overall. McCaffrey won't play because of a mild calf strain. That's smart. I think the 49ers will race out to a lead. Then they will start benching starters. And I think they'll win the game. Cowboys at Commanders. I believe this was Week 18's game last year. And Sam Howell led the Commanders to victory. I don't think that's going to happen this time. There's a lot on the line. The Cowboys can get the number 2 seed. Who would have thought it? They've been very good, so they definitely deserve it. But they can only deserve it if they finish the job. I say they do. CeeDee Lamb, new franchise record in receptions and receiving yards, surpassing the great Michael Playmaker Irvin. Great season for him. I think a lot of people would have sort of not written him off, but they probably just saw him as another receiver. He sort of brought himself back into that conversation of, can I be one of the true elite receivers? Not saying that he's on the level of a Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, or Jamar Chase, in my eyes, at least yet. I'd like to see a bit more, but I've always been a fan of him. He was actually my favourite receiver coming out of that draft, with Jefferson, with Jerry Jeudy. He's obviously not at the level of Justin Jefferson, at least in my eyes, but glad to see him back on the rise. So yeah, Cowboys win that one. So then we come down to the final game of the year, and what a game this could be. It's Bills at Dolphins. Wow. The Bills will know their fate in a way, at least, because if the Steelers beat the Ravens, if the Colts and the Texans doesn't end in a tie, and if the Jaguars beat the Titans, it will mean the Bills are treading a tightrope of win and you're the number 2 seed, lose and you're eliminated from the playoffs. So you can go from 2 to whatever number it will be, below 7. Unbelievable. The Dolphins are coming off, quite a horrible beating against the Ravens. I think they just made quite a few mistakes overall, and they really got punished. I mean, Lamar made some, amazing throws, amazing plays in that game. Yeah. Can they bounce back this week? The Bills' receiving corps is not, in my book, on the same level as the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens have Odell Beckham Jr., who's still got some juice. Zay Flowers, the budding rookie. This may be blasphemous to say, but is Isaiah Likely a little bit better than Mark Andrews? He's certainly a bit different because he's got the speed. No, I'm not going to disrespect Mark Andrews. I know he's a great player. It's more about talking up Isaiah Likely. He's got speed, good hands. I mean, that touchdown with the one-hander, special. And then, you got Lamar. So that was always going to be a tough task in my eyes. I don't view the Bills' offense as the same threat. They've kind of stumbled in here. They were on a run, I'd say. They were on a real roll. And then they kind of, just stuttered over the line against the Chargers. Not very impressive against the Patriots last week. I get that the Patriots defense has improved, but if you're an elite offense, you can take on teams like that. Everything is telling me to pick the Dolphins. They are at home. Tyreek Hill. I'm not sure about the status of Jalen Waddle. I'm going to assume that he is going to go. Tua, brilliant year. But there's just something that's telling me, well, maybe out of fault of my own, I cannot bet against Joshua Patrick motherfucking Allen. So, big game. I expect my guy Josh Allen to lift everyone around him and pull off a big win. This would be a massive win because it will propel the Bills to the number 2 seed somehow. So I'm going to go Bills. What an end to the season. Great season. Can't believe we've reached this point. It feels like it's gone in a blink of an eye, but we're about to enter a new season, an even more exciting season, the playoffs. So can't wait.
NFL Week 18 game picks, kind of tough with not knowing exactly what the coaches' plans are and who's going to start. Some of them have announced who is starting at quarterback, but you never know who's starting, how long they're going to play in terms of defensive starters and other offensive skill position players. So here we go. I'm picking, and I'm not going to summarise these, I'm just going to read them straight off. Steelers, Texans, Saints, Bengals, Jaguars, Lions, Patriots, Bucks, Bears, Cowboys, Raiders, Chargers, 49ers, Eagles, Cardinals, and Bills.
Best bets for Week 18. I've taken quite a few shots recently. Some have worked, some have not worked, but they've had good chances to happen. So I'm going to keep it simple for this week, as it is a bit of a weird week. Starting off with Lions at Vikings. The spread is 3.5 in favour of the Lions. The Lions are pretty angry because they lost that game against the Cowboys. They were also feeling hard done by the missed reporting of the tackle for the touchdown at the end. The Vikings quarterback situation is a mess. Can't remember his name, wasn't ready, so they went back to Nick Mullins, wasn't very good either. Lions will, probably destroy them just out of pure anger. I think the Lions will go out there and rip the Vikings apart, give themselves a bit of a feel-good going into the playoffs. So Lions -3.5. And then again, keeping it simple, Buccaneers at Panthers. Buccaneers are favoured by 4.5. This is a bit risky given the performance last week by the Buccaneers, but I don't really feel like the Panthers are at the same level as the Saints. Panthers, bad season. They've not been ahead in any game for any second. They've won 2 games with walk-off walk-off field goals. They've not been ahead in any game. So Buccaneers -4.5.
NFL Week 18 best bets. Best bet number 1, CJ Stroud, 260 passing yards. It's 258.5, so 260 would be a winner against the Colts. The Colts don't have a great secondary. I think it's going to be quite a high-scoring game. I fancy Stroud to go over 260. That's number 1. Number 2, Steelers, Ravens over 35. I don't think it's enough points. I think it should be higher. Steelers offense has kind of caught fire a little bit. I know it was against the Bengals and the Seahawks, both pretty below average defenses, and the Ravens are better than both of them, but I still fancy the Steelers to put up around 20 points, and the Ravens backup quarterback, Huntley, is a very good backup quarterback, has been there for a long time, knows the system, and I think the Ravens will score at least 17, so that makes it 20-17, 37 points, over 35. I think that's being conservative, so I'm going with that. Steelers, Ravens, over 35. So number 1, CJ Stroud, over 258.5 passing yards against the Colts. Number 2, the Steelers, Ravens on Saturday, over 35 total points. Good luck. Enjoy the games.